Hey everyone, welcome to the after show. We are going to talk about episode 1. So, just give you a little insight behind the scenes and our thoughts about it. Today, we have myself, the creator, Candace Wright. We have Connor White, who is played by Cameron Wright. And we have our PA Anthony on the line as well. So in episode 1, hopefully everyone has watched it. That was the pilot episode. And in this episode, we're introduced to all these characters, of course. And so this show is dated in March of 2021. So it's been a year. They've been working from home. And now we get to jump in and see how it has been going for them. And so in this particular episode, the character Iadara is setting up a meeting and she is so excited to share a new account that she has because the company hasn't been doing well. So she's presenting this new account to the team and hoping that they'll be on board and she can move forward and hopefully it'll change the company around. But as we see later in the episode, different things happens that kind of, challenges her and gets in her way. And so the first thing I just want to talk about is what are your guys' best moments or favorite moments of the episode?
For me personally, there's so many great moments, even just in episode 1 alone. Especially for me, the editing. I would have to say, I going into it, I was kind of like, oh, okay. I was like, I wonder how she's gonna do it. I wonder how she's gonna stitch it together. So I'll definitely have to give a lot of props and kudos to the editor for first and foremost, Iadara / Candace. Because when I was watching, I was like, this is funny. Like, this is actually the sound effects that go into the camera switches and was talking heads come up. I was like, this is really funny. And that's really what's my overall right now is just the way it's edited so well. You would be you wouldn't think we did this over Zoom or we did this all separated and stuff, but it's definitely come together just the way it has right now.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anthony.
My favorite part is definitely the end part, the scene with Iadara, Jamie, and Victoria. I just love that whole interaction between those 3 characters.
Yes.
I've been in situations where I would have preferred to have, other Black co-workers. That way we can have moments like that to kind of have that release and people that can relate and see where you're coming from in those situations.
Yeah. I feel like they're a big trio in the show that everybody's gonna, even me, I'm kind of looking out for. I'm like, oh man, I would hate to see internal strife in here or somebody trying to mess up their group or anything, or pick or somebody, Carrie or somebody trying to come and pick on them, and it'd be okay, what would that look like?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. So Anthony, I'm glad you mentioned that because that talks about kind of the point of the show. And so I myself have also had very many experiences to where it's stuff happens and you look to your right and you look to your left and that what is on your mind nobody is going to understand except your inner circle, which for it's Iadara, Jamie, and Victoria. They get to have that group of people to lean on to when maybe you can't do it in the meeting, but afterwards you on the phone oh my gosh, you can't believe what happened at work today. And so that's exactly what I wanted this show to be, to give us that, because it happens all the time.
Yeah, you could definitely see their sisterhood right off the bat. They're oh yeah, we it's us, the 3 of us, we got this.
Yeah,
it's a very interesting development. I'm excited to see how they progress and how strong their group gets, or you never know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay. So there were a few topics that we talked about in episode 1. So some of the things, like, of course, they're working in a pandemic. People, they're used to being in the office. Now they're only at home. You know, you're always on Zoom meetings, and maybe you're working more than you used to when you were in the office, or maybe you're working less. Now you have to figure out how to be a parent and work, you know, at the same time during the same hours. And so there were a lot of things happening, or that we saw and we're going to see more of. Just wanted to get your guys' experience, or how you thought that played out in the first episode, like as far as working during a pandemic.
I'll go first, because being like first of all, the pandemic, panoramic, Pandora's box, whatever you want to call it, it hit me hard, you know what I mean, in real life. I was working in retail, I was working out in the stores, I was, you know, I mean, the face of a lot of stores and a lot of companies, you know, because I'm just very, you know, energetic, bubbly, whatever the case may be. I was always in people's faces. Well, when COVID happened, it shut all of that down. They were like, we don't want you in the stores. We don't want you coming around the stores. There's like, I was like, this is new. This is different, because I've never had a work from home job. I never had to, you know what I mean, set up my, you know what I mean, Zoom to where people are communicating with me through a phone. And it was just hard for me to convey myself and my, you know what I mean, my normal energetic self, because I'm do better in person. It was hard for me to adapt to that. So they were like sending us home, they're giving us all this equipment, and I'm used to that portion, but definitely see the struggle in some of the characters trying to adapt to that work from home life, or the using electronics all the time to get to talk to people. So it's very interesting.
Thank you.
When the pandemic started, I had just started my first like full-time job, like a career that I was pursuing. I was there for like 2 days, and then they were like, yeah, you're gonna be working from home from now on. And so they were telling me all this stuff, and it was pretty straightforward for me, just because I was 24 at the time and I was already knew my way around technology. But everybody that I worked with in that office was older, so a lot of the Zoom calls and stuff like that was a mess, because they didn't know how to work things, just constant issues. So I really resonate with that, because that definitely just reminds me, because every morning on the Zoom calls, I don't know how to connect this. It's not connecting. This doesn't work. Not plugged in.
That's a good point. We'll see some of that in episode 2.
Yes, indeed. Y'all better stay tuned, stick around and watch, please. It only gets better.
All right, so Drew Tinsley, who plays Wallace Hall, who we haven't seen the episode yet, but episode 1, ex-con securities. So Iodara found this account where they are a security company that would like to offer security services for weddings, and they need a little rebranding. And we see how she has to go back and forth with her nemesis, Carrie, her nosy coworker, about that a few times. But it also, you know, it's a lot of things surrounding that. Like, you have the hating coworkers, you have the coworker who wants to be the boss. Maybe you have your boss, Paul, who is doubting, you know, what you can actually bring to the table. And then on the other hand, you kind of have this out of the box, you know, account that you're bringing to the team, and you kind of have to fight for it.
Everybody is entitled to put their 2 cents in, but there's a certain way to go about it. And the way Carrie chooses to go about it can ruffle some feathers. It can be a little offensive. It's not like she doesn't have a point, though. I don't want to, you know, make it seem like she doesn't.
So what's her point?
That, you know, they probably like she said in the line that she said, all the other companies did their own rebranding. What makes them different? So I like the realism between that, because now you can see how Candace, Iodara is basically trying to pull somebody out the gutter, you know, save somebody, you know, get somebody out the struggle, you know, and Carrie's not really with that. So I like the realism between it. You know, you can see that you're trying to help, and she sees the cons in it. Mm-hmm. So that's what I really noticed.
Ex-cons.
What were you saying, Kim?
I said ex-cons.
Are we? Are we using names here? Can I call you guys y'all
Yeah,
name?
I think we're
Yeah,
it's
we
the
can do
after
it.
show.
Yeah. He's always
Okay.
in character. Cameron, what do you think?
Yeah, kind of playing off of what Drew said, it's amazing how you brought like everyday like symbolism into this show, into this like into our acting, because it happens everywhere. Like there's always this kind of internal struggle I see with like whether it's employees or whether it's like the bosses, and it gives people something to talk about. You'd be like, oh well, did you hear that so and so didn't like the proposal? Oh well, he's going in there to talk to so, and it's always building up. So I think this battle or war between the Carrie and the Iadara is like this big thing, because Carrie has her side of people. You know, Connor is he leans more towards the Carrie side, and then you kind of have Rachel. She is in the middle, but she, I feel like she would stick up for whoever. And you have Iadara with this like triumphant trio squad, and then sometimes she always gets like the backup from other people. So it's definitely interesting to see the push and pull, and then like the both sides of the office are kind of like, yeah, we're all friends, but we're not friends like when it comes to the business. So there's some people who are reluctant of change, and then there's some people who are like, we're all for it, let it happen, like we'll change this policy, do this, and they're like, wait, like we can't do this right now.
No, that's a really good point. Like those dynamics on a team, like they do happen, especially if it's something
everywhere.
new and different. Yeah.
Yes. I see it in school, like businesses, like restaurant, everywhere. Like it's different, but I like that we're portraying it and showing people like, yeah, this is happening. Like
back to like the Black representation, Drew, you said you can see both sides, like she's being a realist and things like that.
Very, very, very controversial things come out of her mouth. And like what you were saying, he's like, there's a way to go about it. And I feel like that's kind of what she's saying. She's like, well, is this the right time to go about it this way or to do it this way? And it's tricky, because it's like, well, if we wait on the right time, it may be too far out from the issue or too far out from people's, remindness of it, or whatever the case is. Like people have to see another incident or accident to be like, oh yeah, this is happening. Like instead of being like, well, we set this program in motion a couple months ago to make people aware, push awareness, and get people to realize what's going on. So it's like I do see it, but at the same time I don't agree with her being like, no, let's slow it down, let's rebrand another way or something like that. So I'm like, the timing is when the company is like ready to make that move. Is like when everybody's strong enough to be like, okay, we got to do this now while we have the idea, instead of waiting until another bad PR and we got to spin it a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I mention something real fast about episode 1?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like we talked about our favorite moments earlier.
I don't know if it's my favorite. A real bold moment is for you to your monologue about the White House being raided. That was powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, when it's time to share the video to conservatives, I get a little worried about that portion. But it's cool. It's cool. They'll get over it.
Right. Exactly. They'll get over it.
But you know
what? Good content.
That's what, well, I'm not going to say that's what everyone thinks, but that is what some of our internal thoughts are, right? Like, I mean, depending on where you worked, and I'll talk about this too, and we can go to episode 2. But when it came, like when all that stuff happened, it really changed like the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, hopefully it did. A lot of companies started having these courageous conversations to where you want to talk and you want to learn more about other people's experiences and things like that. And so, yes, like that comment or that monologue, that's something that you might say like to your peers or like your friends or your inner circle or whatever. but it started to kind of penetrate into the workplace. So now you have an environment to where there are people talking about it. You know what I'm saying? And now you have to figure out how to react to it. You know what I'm saying? So at first it was kind of like, okay, this stuff is going on. Maybe you'll say something in your mind. Maybe you say something, maybe you don't. But now it's like everybody is in your face, like, oh my gosh, did you see what was on the news? Did you hear what happened? And now you kind of have to face it and confront that. So let me ask y'all, like, how did y'all deal with that if you had to?
To be honest, it affected me minimally. It didn't affect me at all.
Okay.
But like not from a sense of just not caring,
right?
Just like it being, but just like when it happened, of course, the comedian in me wants to laugh. That is freaking hilarious how they just tried to overtake the White House. You know what I mean? But from a political standpoint, I can't really say too much on that. It didn't affect me as much as you guys would think. So,
okay, Cameron.
Yeah, me personally, I think it just affected my view of certain hierarchies and like higher up, and how things are going. Because I'm like, it was always a picture of, oh well, the government is, such this stronghold, this, locked tight. They do everything right. They're doing everything for the people and whatnot. And to see that many people, it was a lot of people, that many people of one race, let's be honest, destroying, vandalizing, and entering without permission their own stronghold, which they hold so highly, and it was very confusing. I was like, I don't understand. It's like you claim you're these Americans, you claim that you're, we're all about America and we want to protect our assets, but you literally showed everybody you do not care. You do not care. And for us to get over it, it's not as easy anymore now because you're literally showing your true colors. So
yeah, talk this shit, Cam.
Yeah, that's as real as it gets. That's just me personally, how I felt. And it didn't like affect me to the point where I was like, okay, I need to go and talk about it to certain people. But the people who would ask me, I would give them my opinion. And I would pretty much educate them on how I felt about them going against the grain of what they preached and talked about all these years of their life, talk to their kids and, people they know. And I was just like, okay, it's just falsehood. That's all I can see right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna talk about you getting walked in on your dog?
I was gonna say like, but y'all already knew it, so I'm like, I guess my question would be in the episode at the end, Eudora gets a visit from her
Crusty Black,
her squeeze for the day. So what is, if all of you have had the opportunity to work remotely, which I think you have, what is like the craziest thing that has happened to you while you were on a call or in a meeting, or maybe has happened to someone else while you were there?
Oh no, I was nothing great crazy happened to me. I used to be on the call playing Xbox because I was just there. My job was mainly social media, especially over the pandemic. So like they weren't talking about anything. So I'm like, man, I'm just gonna sit here and play Xbox and get this people rank up.
Were you always on mute? Like,
yep.
Oh, you were careful. Oh man, Cameron.
I'm just I was like, this is nice, but this is different, and I was like being in my house and stuff, and I was like, wait, I can just be I can just be chilling, and it went to my head so fast, I forgot that like I needed to work. I forgot that I needed to be like, be presentable and stuff, to shower, all that stuff. So, there'd be times where I just roll out of bed, I'll be in my robe still, I'll be just like, clickety-clackety on the mouse and stuff. And they'd be like, oh, well, we got a Zoom call in, 3 minutes. I'll be like, no, we don't. No. So I'm getting off my robe, I'm changing clothes, and I'm very expressive. So like when we get on the calls, I'm just looking around like, did I forget anything? Like, is there something behind me? Is my game still on? Like, is a baby gonna fly through the door? So I was just very nervous at first because I'm like, oh man, like there's so many people who wouldn't see this in the office. You know what I mean? They ask about this stuff, like, oh, well, how's your home life? You know what I mean? How's your wife? How's blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like you can make anything up, but when you talking to people and you got your manager calling you for one-on-ones and stuff, like, no, you can't fake that. Like,
You right.
really know.
Oh man, I never thought of it that way. Yeah, they're all up in your house.
Yeah, it's real. They be looking too, like, I got the HD camera. I can see past you.
You stupid. Drew. Any class or work?
Well, I mean, mine's kind of traumatizing, so I don't know.
Yes, we need it.
But I was given a presentation, Zoom presentation, and I had forgot to take the chicken out of the freezer. And so my mom got home in the middle of my presentation.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
She got you with that slasher, didn't she?
She got me with the slasher. She got me with the slasher.
Are you serious?
No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad physically. But she did verbally abuse me in front of 29 other students.
29.
And then I made a peanut butter jelly sandwich. It's one spoon in the sink.
Dang, so you got double trouble for the chicken and
I
the
heard
spoon?
that all week. That one spoon, I heard it all week.
Damn, double homicide.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Lacey, he felt pretty bad for me. He even apologized after class.
I bet.
That sounds like
She gave you too much responsibility with that chicken, bro. That's what happened.
That's what it was. Like, do I even
It's too tricky. Because when you pull it out, where you supposed to put it? It's just gonna sit like, come on now. I'm doing you a favor.
For real. For real.
That is hilarious. Oh,
I believe there's a thing like that in the series.
So what?
I believe there's a scene like that in the series.
Yeah, that's why I was like, is that real? All right, okay, we can pivot to episode 2.
Pivot. All my friend watchers out there.
Pivot.
Oh, we got people watching us?